House Democrats have given more than $1 million to dark money groups that have been actively fighting against lowering prescription drug prices. That's the Democrats behind this. This is a group being run by a former Pelosi staffer and has ties to all sorts of industries and former Democratic officials. I've got Ring of Fire's Farron Cousins to talk about this. God, can we talk about this? Because since we're talking about Democrats, I mean, are we allowed to talk about this? What do you think?
You're definitely going to have some keyboard warriors getting angry about this, but the fact is, you have the House Democrats' chief fundraising arm that has pumped more than $1 million into this dark money group that then turns around and spends that money lobbying these same lawmakers to not lower prescription drugs for Americans.
The story is never told, okay? All that you hear is Democrats want to lower drug prices. Republicans don't. That's what you hear. Democrats want to increase regulations. Republicans don't. But behind the scenes, the truth is this is what's going on. And we're not just talking about minor players. As I just said, this is coming from the Pelosi camp. As a matter of fact, you had Alexandria Lapp. She was a former lobbyist for the pharma industry, and she is like in charge. You know, she's the one that calls the shots on Pfizer and the Chamber of Commerce. These are folks that are ingrained, deeply seated in the DNC, right? So we don't ever hear about it. And the people at the end of the day, these are the folks. Center Forward is the name of the organization. Conoco, Chevron, Business Roundtable, Altria, Honeywell, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Global Strategies Group. This is like the who's who of corporate America. And the Democrats, again, I know it kills people when we talk about the Democrats. Don't talk about them. How dare you talk about them? We have an election coming up. Well, that doesn't make any difference if all you have is a party that we're going to say, oh, they're always for us. They're not. Just like the Republicans aren't, the Democrats aren't either. I have an advantage. I'm independent. I know you're Democrat, and you're great. You're a great voice for the Democrat. They're so lucky to have you, okay? But I'm not. I'm independent. I have to look at a story like this and say, what the hell? Why are we kidding? Why are we kidding ourselves?
Well, exactly. If we can't hold our own side accountable, then we're no good at what we do. And that is the point of this. I mean, this is coming from a left-leaning website, and it's not to say, oh, look at just these people are horrible. It's to shine a light on it and tell people, listen, we've got some serious problems over here on the left, and you can choose to bury your head in the sand, act like none of this matters because the only thing that matters is if we win or lose elections, or we can shine the spotlight on these people, shame them, and get them out of office and replace them with somebody better.
Are we allowed to do that? Are you, as a Democrat, are you allowed to do that?
According to people online, no.
No, I don't think, according to people online, you're not allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do it because I really don't give a damn. If I'm going to talk about Republicans, I'm going to talk about Democrats. And so, but let me just get the quick lineup. Paul Brathwaite. This is one of the strategists here. Well, who's he lobbying? He's lobbying for Amazon, Bristol Myers, Petro Manufacturers. This is the guy at the heart, on the board of this organization. Kate Dickens, biotech company, Energy X. In other words, the biggest companies in the country. Pete Manchin, Manchin, yeah. Director of, this guy was he still is, state director for Donald Trump's presidential campaign. All right? He is seated, though, in this center of power that the Democrats use secretly. One hand, they're saying, oh, we're the party for the people. And the truth is, where it comes to social issues, they're much better than the Republicans. There's no question. But where it comes to mom and pop issues that puts food on the table for these folks, they're just as bad. I mean, they're just as bad.
Well, and it's because you have these, and this was all founded in part, too, by the guy that created the Blue Dog Democrats.
Right.
And those are the Democrats who say, listen, everything is perfect and fine the way it is right now. Let's not rock the boat. Let's not put new regulations. Let's not do anything that's going to make anybody upset. And the people they're worried about upsetting are these same corporations we're talking about. And that's why it's save the status quo, don't do anything to rock the boat.
Okay, so we hear MSNBC, CNN. Oh, let me tell you what the Democrats are doing. They're pushing back to get more regulations of banks. That's what the American public thinks. So while that's going on, you have an entire arm that everybody knows about. Understand, the guy in charge came directly from the Pelosi organization. So the guy in charge is doing everything he can to defeat that. He's pumping money, spending money like a crazy man. Or how about this? Come on television, the Democrats, they're for lowering the price of drugs. So everybody thinks, well, great. They're going to get something done. The truth is, the Pelosi guy is in the back rooms trying to defeat that effort by the Democrats. It's just so wrong. Why are we not able to say this is wrong and we need to do something about it?
Well, part of the big reason is because all of these companies that we've sat here talked about linked to these groups, these are the advertisers. These are the ones that go on MSNBC and CNN every commercial break. So you can't expose this level of corruption when you're also dependent upon these people to pay your bills. So that's the biggest issue here. And we also have too many people that aren't willing to go and read a story that's 8 pages long, right? You got to keep it small, short, quick. They got to be able to digest it in 30 seconds or they lose interest.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why journalism is dying in this country is because people stop caring.
You hear me say all the time, and I really believe this, you are the best voice the Democrats can have, okay? You really are. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I just look right down the middle as an independent. But even when you do come out and say, wait a second, let me tell you the story. How about this, Farron? Build Back America. Okay, the Build Back America Act. What was it called? Build Back Better Act, BBB. It sounded wonderful. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, go Democrats. What was really happening?
There are huge handouts. And by the way, there were a couple of organizations that did talk about this at the time, very far left groups. But there were just these massive handouts to these same corporations that are working behind the scenes. So that's part of the reason, one, it was scaled down to a degree. But when you start looking at where a lot of this money is going, it's not going to your local construction company. It's going to the big conglomerates. It's not going to help average people. There's tons of money going to the fossil fuel industry, to the pharmaceutical industry for some reason. And all of that is in that legislation if you actually read it.
Why don't they cover this? Why do we turn on MSNBC on liberal issues? We turn on Fox for conservative issues. And it's always, we got to color in the lines. We can't talk about this because people be so mad if they knew that the very people who are up there on stage, on television, saying, this is what we're doing for you, know, as they're saying that behind the scenes this is going on.
Well, look, again, a lot of it has to do with the advertising, but a lot of it has to do, too, with it has become so tribal and so much of team sports that people can't stand to even hear something not even negative, but critical of their own party anymore.
Well, I'm glad you're out there talking. I'm glad you're out there as the voice for the Democrats. But you know what? I'm going to talk about it. You do too.
Yeah.
And I respect the hell out of that. I got to tell you.